Welcome back, brothers, to the 801st Legion podcast, a Star Wars Legion podcast. It's been a really hot minute since we've been on the airwaves, but we've got some spicy things to talk about, some hot takes, a little bit of housekeeping, and where we're going to be in the future. So, without further ado, punch it, Kyle.
Hello there.
You must unlearn
Dark
what you
side
have
of the
prepared.
Force is a pathway to many abilities.
Red,
Some
green, or
considered
red, green, red.
I know Jack.
Will do.
Sorry about the mess.
I'm Luke Skywalker. I'm here to rescue you.
General Kenobi.
Let's rearrange some architecture.
Is it possible to learn this power?
I thank you for your hospitality.
Twice the pride, double the fall.
Impressive. I'll show you the dark side.
Boy, I tell you what, it's hard to punch it when we're this far away from each other.
Virtual punching.
Yep,
A punch
yep.
out, you might say.
Also, I love how we always lead it with hot takes. Just like they're really not that hot. They're like we microwaved them to warm them up a bit, but I mean, they're not like burn your hand on the stove hot.
No, I think they're definitely like hot pocket takes, like lava exterior, ice cold interior. You know what I
Sour
mean?
Patch Kids. Yeah, if I'm following. Food analogy, food analogy, food analogy.
Yeah.
Oh man. Oh gosh, guys, it's so good to be back. We're thrilled to be recording a podcast episode again. It's been way too long. If you were on the Discord, you know where we've been. You know what's been up. Our last episode was, well, okay, if you count the one we tried to record maybe 2 months ago now. No, it's probably been a bit longer than that. Let's be real.
I was gonna say, I think we recorded like 2 episodes, but like the audio was just missing, and
It was just
it's
bad.
we've had technical issues on top of technical issues.
Yep. So what we did, and thanks to help from the community, we got some new audio equipment. Well, kind of new audio. Well, I got the new audio equipment. It's all mine, my precious. But my laptop, the port on it was just giving out. So every time we plugged the USB port into it for the microphone that we were using, it would just have the worst feedback. Our voices came through like we were astromech droids, all that good stuff. But I got a new mic with some help from the community, so we appreciate that. Once we got that new mic, I quickly learned that this is not going to be helpful for the podcast in any way. Well, it is. It's incredibly helpful, but it required like another piece to get it compatible and up and running because we wanted to get it as good as possible. So we upgraded the microphone you're hearing me on, and then my other microphone that we were using, Matt is using now. So that's why you'll hear a little bit of difference in how we sound. But overall,
Nice. Yeah.
you go ahead.
We just definitely have a lot more versatility as far as our setup now.
Yeah.
So
like, hey, we have a quick 30 minutes to talk about this new thing that was just announced. Let's hop on Discord and let's discuss. Things are going to be so much easier now that we've gotten like all this rough patch out of the way. So we're super glad to be here. It's been way too long. I'm going to keep saying that because we missed you guys. We missed you guys so much. You're all
it's been
handsome.
so long. We really want to thank everybody who's reached out to us because we some people know where we work and they'll come out and they'll lovingly nudge us to get another episode out.
When are you
So
getting another podcast episode? Where is she?
Yeah. Where are the drugs going? Where are the podcasts going?
Oh, I'm so
Don't
glad
worry,
you brought
guys.
up
We got
drugs.
classic
We
back
got to talk
here.
about drugs later in the episode.
Yes, we will.
But yeah, so like new equipment, we're still the same old cool cats and kittens that you're all well acquainted with. So, but yeah, we're gonna have some good fun as we get back to this. It's not quite a season 3; it's still our season 2, but we got some new feature updates. If you'll notice, there's a picture on your screen if you're watching on YouTube. We just decided, hey, another little touch we can do with our new setup is that we can have the slideshow with pictures that we could reference with. So that way, if you're watching the video or the podcast on YouTube or another video platform, you could actually directly look at these cards and these things we're talking about with us. So right now you see the beautiful Maul, not Darth Maul, just Maul, with that beautiful red lightsaber and that okay dark saber. I guess it's okay, but it's no, it's a great picture. They knocked it out of the park with that one.
Yeah, Dallas Kemp has been absolutely killing it on his paint jobs. Like, say what you will about anybody in the community. Maybe I know some people aren't super big fans, but my goodness, he is
Yeah.
he's a wizard when
I
it comes
just
to his
want
paint jobs.
I want him to be the sole lead artist for a new Star Wars TCG. I know Star Wars Destiny didn't do too great, but I think Star Wars TCG could be a thing. And with this art, oh man, it would be perfect.
Agreed, man. He does some amazing stuff.
There's too many TCGs that fail just because they use JPEGs of their screen of the movie screen, but this is actually original art.
Yeah, they hire the graphic artist intern to like take the screen caps
Yeah.
from the movie and just digitize them. Yeah, doesn't quite work the same.
No, not at all. All right, without further delay, let's move on from the small talk chit chat that we all know and love. But we had a big thing happen this last weekend, and that was the mini extravaganza, the second one under AMG. Well, technically, AMG's only done mini extravaganzas, but this was their Gen Con equivalent around the time of Gen Con to kind of like update the community. They did X-Wing. They did Marvel Crisis Protocol. Hey, and they also even acknowledged Armada. Like after all that stuff that went down, they even brought up Armada, and I thought that was pretty neat.
Yeah, that was really cool, and I mean, we got some amazing reveals to talk about going on with it.
Oh yeah, Legion was brought up too. I forgot to mention
that. I mean, maybe a little bit. I mean, it felt great. Like if I could just talk openly about it, I was kind of worried going into this mini extravaganza, especially following the words of Armada, of what happened there, the untimely getting let go of Luke Eddy, which I know some people absolutely loved, didn't. I was a fan of his work. Mini extravaganza did a lot to assuage a ton of my fears and get me really excited for the game. Like I don't know how did it make you feel? What was your takeaway from mini extravaganza?
I'm so glad you asked. You know, I think if you're in the local community, especially, and if you have been paying attention to how I, talk on Discord, it's no secret that I have been less than enthusiastic about this game lately. Not to a point where I lose love for it entirely or where I want to stop playing it. That's never been further from the truth. You'll find me and Matt routinely still talking about Legion any chance we get. It's still a very big passion of mine. But, I haven't been showing up to game nights as much. I'd rather, pick up a nice game at the house, just kind of chill. Just because, if I'm being perfectly frank, I wasn't super stoked on how the game was being handled in this first little bit with AMG. Like, okay, maybe not the first little bit, because the first little bit was a nice honeymoon phase. Like, hey, new company, new people. We still got our people, though, for the most part. But then, like, I think the thing that hit the nail, or not the nail in the head, but the straw that broke the camel's back for me was when Luke Eddy did get let go. That was actually really devastating to me because I don't think I've talked about it on the podcast at all, but him and Alex Davey actually did teach me my first game of Legion back at PAX South. Yeah, PAX South, and oh man, a while ago.
Yeah, that's a while ago.
Yeah, back when the game was just first being revealed to people. Like, I didn't even know who they were. I just thought they were employees. But when I finally made the connection after I started playing the game, like, oh, I totally met that guy. He made this game. That's crazy. So, like, I feel like I had, not like incredibly personal. I don't know them personally. I'm not saying that at all. But like, you felt that. I felt that connection with the game's developers in a way that I don't think a lot of people got a chance to do. Like, how many people can say they learned the game from someone, and I don't know, maybe I'm romanticizing it. Maybe it really wasn't them, and I thought it was them. That would be super embarrassing. But anyways, but like after Luke Eddy got let go, I was like, all right, both main devs are out of the picture. I am not at all happy with this. This is kind of a heartbreaker. And, you just kind of let those negative thoughts fester, and, it's not that great. And one of our episodes more that we tried to record before we scrapped it ultimately was just that we were just kind of like both in a mood. Me more specifically, I was a little bit more negative. Matt is the most positive guy I know.
I try, but let's not overhype me here. Okay?
Yeah. But yeah, I think this mini extravaganza was the first big thing. No, okay, second big thing that kind of relit the fire to, go play the game some more. And The first being that we held a tournament at in the local scene just the 2 weeks before, which was awesome. And I was like, oh yeah, I really enjoy playing this game. And so going to the mini extravaganza a couple weeks later was like, oh man, no, I really do enjoy this game. So it's been really nice and refreshing to have that breath of fresh air. And who knows, maybe I just needed a break. I've been playing this game weekly for almost 2 years.
Yeah, it's actually, I think we're coming up on 3 years here in October.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's like a big deal. Like not everyone sticks with games that long period. So I think that shows that how much I do really love this game, that I could take a break and then still come back as passionate as ever. But yeah, so anyways, the whole reason I talk about that is because this Mission Extravaganza did a huge boost to my morale with the game and its future. There were some things discussed that made me really happy. For example, when they talked about like how they didn't want to just focus on the social or the casual aspects, how they wanted to keep up with the competitive for those people who enjoy it as well, because I'm very much in the middle. I love a good challenge. I love having to sweat bullets when I'm playing a good game. But I also like having fun, like I will never shy away from trying something wacky on the table because it sounds fun. So I have the duality of man present.
Well, you might say you are a human,
Yeah, exactly, right? Or maybe I'm a dancer? Question mark.
Okay. Let's not talk about the worst of the killers, okay?
Do you think that's the worst? That's kind of
I
heartbreaking.
don't know, man. We could talk about the killers.
Welcome to the Killers Podcast.
The 801st Killers Podcast.
Some kid that's been listening to us had his mom overhearing, like, what podcast are you listening to?
What? Son, I love them. Okay, so
who's
funny thing
killing
about
who? Anyways, go ahead.
Funny thing about my parents. So this is how old I am, and this is how old my parents are. They were in college when the killers were first getting started, and my parents had just gotten married. My mom was pregnant with me, and their car broke down on a trip to Southern California, where my mom's from, going to visit her family. And guess who pulls over to fix the tire with my dad? Brandon Flowers. It's crazy.
Oh, okay, yeah, cool. I didn't
So
get
the
much time
band
to guess
replaced
there,
the
but that's
tire.
fine.
My dad knew, he was like fanboying over it.
Dude,
but,
that's cool. That's
dude,
a trip.
yeah.
That's a trip.
It's crazy, right?
Yeah. Like I
but,
think we were both all overall like super positive about the mini extravaganza. I think we were both on cloud nine about it afterwards because there's like some really cool reveals. Like one of the biggest things that they were just outright like you could tell, especially at the end of the whole presentation for Legion, and we're gonna get into some of the units here soon. But at the end, when they're like, it was Will Schick that was like saying like, I'm sweating bullets talking about this, right? But he was just like, we normally don't reveal these things this early, but we wanted to let you guys know how much we're working on this and how much we care about this. And I was like, you know what? That really does go a long way, that you're willing to talk about this stuff that far ahead of, or that much in advance, at the risk of like getting crapped on if it, fails and crumbles. But you let us know, and that was like super important. And I thought that went a long way. And then they obviously confirmed some really cool characters with that. So
They did. Wookiees confirmed. Sorry, Ewoks confirmed.
Ewoks confirmed. And then at the end, they threw that MJ fadeaway with Ahsoka confirmed. So that was cool.
I mean, I'm happy they said that, but at the same time, a part of me goes, well, wasn't she always going to come to the game eventually? Like,
yeah, but to know she's up higher on the priority than something like Gungans is nice to hear.
That's true. I mean, in the end, I understand why he was sweating bullets, because imagine with the Armada guys being told there's nothing to look forward to. That's such a devastating thing. I mean, immediately some people turned around and sold their collections and bought out of the game, just left. And I know for him, there was Will Schick, especially out of everybody, I could tell there was this pressure from to appeal to the community and do right by them, and let them know that the game will still be in development and be very well handled in the future.
Yeah,
you could just tell the way he was talking about things. I think that's kind of why they were willing to hand out more than necessary, because in the end, that means like they won't be really spoiling things. I think for the next 18 months or so. Like they really don't have much more to spoil for like 18 months. Now we'll still get like reveals and things, but for him to do that is a calculated risk. To say, hey, we aren't going to be doing hype announcements anymore. Like
Yeah.
there won't be too much to look forward to, but you know,
Yeah.
uh,
Well, the
we're
nice thing is too
gonna
that everyone has something to look forward to, because like we're looking on
yeah,
screen, we're looking at this picture of the Shadow Collective that is going to come in their own starter box. That's going to be something anyone can start the game with and pick up and enjoy. But different units within this Shadow Collective will be plug and play into other factions.
yeah.
And this whole battle, what do they call it? Not a battle box. That's a different game. What did they
Um,
call it?
Yeah, they call it the battle forces. So
The battle
just to kind of
forces.
be clear with people, today we're going to talk about just the Shadow
Yeah.
and no more. We might talk a little bit about the battle forces, but we have a couple people we're thinking about bringing on in the next little while just to
Right.
help like, analyze and break down
Yeah.
some
Some
of the
local
other
people that
individuals.
are gonna do great. They're experts in their fields, as so to speak. But today,
Yeah,
because there's not a lot revealed about the Shadow Collective, we figured it'd be a good opportunity for Matt and I to come back to it and just talk about this today. Um, but it was really cool, like knowing that there's gonna be the 501st, that there's gonna be Hoth themed army, like that's gonna be really cool. So, but without further ado, let's jump into the first unit we have here. If I can. Well, oh, now it would go like this. Oh, that's why. Yeah, so let's hop into the Pike Syndicate foot soldiers. And so why don't we just take like a little look around the card and what we think of it. 4-man unit, pretty standard. What I think it's really interesting is that they're a core unit, at least for for the Shadow Collective faction or the mercenary faction, so to speak. And we're going to get into why that I say that way in a little bit here, but standard 1 wound, 1 courage value, white defense dice, surge the defense. You're looking at rebel troopers that punch a little bit harder with 2 white instead of 1 white, right? Rebels only have 1 white if I remember correctly.
yeah. And I mean it's pretty much just a standard rebel loadout. I think the
Yeah.
big things you're looking at here are the keywords because they
Yeah.
definitely get rid of nimble in
Mhm.
favor of some other keywords that
Right.
are arguably better in some situations.
Right. Like looking
Um,
at outmaneuver, that's just nimble 2. So,
it's yeah, it's interesting because
or
yeah,
nimble cherry, cuz it's not exactly the same, but it has a new flavor to it.
yeah, like it really
Okay.
is. I mean, I look at outmaneuver on them and I kind of just think that says, uh, the keyword should just read anti like pierce like
Right.
sniper. Rather than saying like this unit can't be shot by snipers, it just says you're not going to pierce me that one or two times. And they've got danger sense to self preservation, which is a new keyword. The rules clarification for that says when checking whether you panic, you cannot use the courage value of units that are not the same affiliation as you. So that's very important for how these mercenary factions work. Um, I guess just to do a quick overbreak with it, these factions, so they come together in what's called Battle Force box. It's a faction or sub-faction that when works used together, you're allowed to take specific characters as your leaders, but you have to build your army with those characters. These other characters can be brought out and put into other specific factions as well, but at a cost. And sometimes that cost is stuff just like this with the self-preservation protocols. You
Yeah.
can't check like a rebel commander's courage value for yourself. You just can't unless you have some other specific workarounds.
Yeah.
And same with independent. The next keyword, they have a keyword called independent dodge 1. At the start of the activation phase, if you do not have an order token, you gain 1 dodge token. So this is kind of where you get that little pseudo nimble.
Yeah.
Because like you're still getting a dodge token, you're not going to get it back. Starting every phase with a dodge it's pretty powerful, especially when you've got outmaneuver.
Yeah. No, I think both of those combined actually is where I was getting at with how it could be called nimble 2, just because they like independent dodge 1 and then outmaneuver kind of, like being able to dodge critical results is insanely strong, but the fact that you may not get it every time you spend a dodge token, but getting one at the end of every, like, maybe it's not nimble 2 as much as it is like a retinue of sorts, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That seems a little bit better to me. Think
Yeah.
of it like that.
But
I
yeah,
mean,
let's go up to the top left-hand corner of the card here where it says redacted, and they had specified in the cast or in their presentation that that's where, obviously where we know to see the point values, but there's going to be different listings of different factions and what factions they're compatible with and what the point value is for that faction. So if I'm just going to put out a really quick prediction here, I don't think the Pike Syndicates are going to be Republic or Rebels, personally. Maybe Rebels, but I definitely don't see Republic. I see Empire, Separatists, maybe Rebels, just because Rebels will take anything they can get, right, for the right cost. Hence why Han Solo is a hero, I guess. But I don't think we'll see the Pike Syndicates roll over into the Republic at all.
I agree on that. I think it's going to be a dark side faction only kind of thing. And I think more specifically, I wouldn't be surprised if it's a separatist only faction, just because these guys appear a ton more in the Clone Wars.
So no Empire,
but I could see the Empire just because of the bounty hunter faction affiliation as well.
Yeah, especially if we get updated certain characters we'll get into a little bit later. So yeah. But that whole the self-preservation will lead right into this next card. But unless you had anything you want to touch on with this unit before we move on.
No, actually, the only thing I wanted to point out, we can actually the next guy, so we can move on.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so that leads us directly into. Oh, here's some pictures of those units. We'll talk about these upgrades you're seeing in just a second, but here's a look at the models that you're gonna be able to see. You get to see the custom rifle. I thought that was really cool that they got to design this rifle for the Pikes. The Electro Whip. But we'll get into these in just a minute.
Bro, the Tonfas. I love the Tonfas.
Right?
That's like the Mortal Kombat player and like fighting game player in me loves this.
Yep. All right, before we jump into the next unit involving these fancy schmancy boys, let's talk about some upgrade cards we're gonna see. What we got pulled up here on your screen is the Pike Syndicate Foot Soldier and the Pike Syndicate Capo. Both are upgrade cards that can be taken as personnel upgrades. Add one for Pike Syndicate Foot Soldier. It's going to be add one Pike Syndicate Foot Soldier mini as usual for any personnel upgrade. Then you gain cash aim 1. During setup, place 1 aim token on this card. You can spend tokens on this card. You have this keyword even if the mini is defeated. Matt, give us some real world application as to what that really does for you.
Oh, it's so good. It's so good. And for 9 points only. Now, that's a little expensive if you're thinking about O-Push, but what's amazing is that you get to add a weapon with it. I mean, that's just so cool.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you're getting an extra die. You're getting the aim for free with it. I mean, there's so much utility. That means you're going to be able to move, take a shot with an aim, or if you really just need to lay the paint on somebody, you can aim, shoot, and use this aim token again. I mean, it's so cool. I really love this mini, and for 9 points, I feel like you're going to take this every single time.
Right? Like, this is definitely feeling like the sort of angle that a lot of us have been hoping for, I guess, if you could say. Or just this angle of what would make a personnel upgrade worth taking. And I think this is that nice balance. Because there's the specialists that we get, that add some, like, for example, what comes to mind is the Clone Captain for the Phase 1s. It's like, yeah, that'd be helpful. But at that point cost, it's not. So
yeah,
this has a little bit best of both worlds, where you get the personnel upgrade, you get what you want to benefit you, and you get an extra mini out of it. So I think that's really cool. One thing I actually want to look at real quick is going back to. Oh yeah, we don't know the points yet, but it's gonna be really interesting. You got to think. Usually, or the line of thought before had been. Like 1/4, right? You're just adding another 25% of its point cost to that unit, and then plus whatever points that special ability would be worth. So I wonder at 9 points, that's an extra 25%. Like if we're going by that math, wouldn't that mean that the Pikes are less than 40 points? So droid territory.
It could be. I'm kind of thinking how with other people, the personnel upgrade for the generic dude is just a little cheaper.
Yeah.
Than how it is.
Oh, that's true.
Because if we're being real, I think as a unit, because these guys look to be amazing. They look to be Rebel Troopers plus,
Mm-hmm.
like just really good. And I know like there's the downside of the suppression and all, but like let's be real. We've kind of talked about this. We both think this is going to be like a droid thing,
Yeah.
Empire thing. Like you're not going to be giving them orders, so they're going to get their dodge. They already have nimble built in. I would be very surprised if this is less than a 48-point unit.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think 48 points more than stormtroopers, because like if you're buying them, I mean the utility you get for this, and if it's only 48 points, you got to think that means you're paying 57 points before a heavy weapon
Yeah.
for a unit that's 5 black dice that comes with free aim, gets a dodge and has nimble. Like, bro, that's really good value. Like you're
Yeah.
evaluating the crap out of everything.
Well, and it makes you wonder, like, with the redacted, like, the kind of points that would be involved, because it's going to be different points per faction, right? Like, is that, like, let's say it's 48 points for Separatists. Does that 48 points have the same weight as, let's say, 48 points in Empire? You know, like, the difference is between factions is real. Does that make sense?
Yeah. This is the weird thing, though, because if it is costed so aggressively, I feel like I would rather take, like, let's say hypothetically these guys are an Empire.
Mm-hmm.
I would rather take a unit of these over a unit of Stormtroopers with a heavy upgrade any day.
Yeah, right. Like,
And it's crazy.
not
Like,
to
I know we
mention
had
it would add just like a bunch of like variety to it, because like if you can add them as core units as is listed on their card, but I wonder if it'll be spec ops if you cross factions. But if it is core units, like it would just add so much more diversity. Like, hey, I'm not seeing Stormtroopers with DLTs, and I'm not not short troopers, you know, like with their usual loadout. You know, it'll be fun to see something new.
I mean, I think they said on stream that they are going to be core, and that core carries over. But yeah,
okay,
it's
yeah,
so
I must have
weird
missed that
'cause,
then.
like, we haven't really talked about the upgrades for them yet, but
Yeah.
the P13, like, it's the range 1 to 4, 2 black dice and a red, and it adds the trooper, and it has impact. So if you take that guy, just that guy, and this unit is under 50 points, you're getting an amazing value.
That's true.
For less than like 70 points, which is just it's
right.
Well, maybe 70, which is insane.
Like at range 1 to 4 too, I think that can't be understated. That you're shooting a rebel unit's odds, right? The 2 or the 1 red and 2 blacks. You're shooting close to rebel, just a bare bones rebel unit's odds. At range 4, that's insane.
It's with danger sense.
Yep.
Like it's stupid. I know that the danger sense isn't that helpful from some people's perspectives because of the low courage value.
Yeah.
But like if I'm thinking droids, I can already take a like attack droid and have my commander points met.
Oh yeah, there
and
you
then I
go.
can take a capo that we don't know the points for yet, so that way your Pike foot soldiers can just use his courage value.
Yeah.
And then you've just got these 2 sets of troopers who are dug in, who are hard to kill, who come with 3 tokens, who are getting dodge tokens and nimble. Like I'm kind of blown away with how good these guys are, and
Agreed.
I'm expecting to buy tons of them.
Yep.
For my droidy boys.
Yeah, and we're bouncing around a little bit, but let's stick with the weapon upgrades while we're here. With the Electro Whip Soldier, ranged melee to 1, 2 reds, immobilize 1, and suppressive. So, better Sabine or not better Sabine?
So stupid good. Like, what are your takes on this?
This is okay. I think this is something that like the immobilized token is one of the most I don't want to say appreciated because no one really appreciates it at all, I guess, but like underutilized keywords in the game. There's only like 2 characters that use it. Dooku and Sabine, or am I thinking Palpatine too, right?
There's a couple. Yeah, it's like Palpatine can do it. Cad Bane can do it.
Oh yeah,
Boba
Cad Bane can do it now. That's right. Yeah. Well, yeah,
Yeah.
but I never play against Boba, so how would I know?
Yeah. Yeah, and I think Boba's is strictly better because it's 2 immobilized and 2 suppression.
Yeah.
But it's also at range 1 and not melee. So
Yeah.
it's
Oh, that's true.
well, actually, hold up. I have a card right here. I think you can do it in melee.
Just the idea of
Yeah,
immobilize and suppressive together though just seems gross. It just seems gross. for 10
Crazy.
points, you know?
You're right. And it's funny too because the fact that you're getting your aim token means that if you really want to immobilize somebody,
You're going
like,
to immobilize
yeah,
someone.
you're just gonna take your move action. You're fine moving up because you don't need aims. You're just gonna use the one on your card.
Is there a way? I'm trying to see if there's a way to give them lethal, or if they don't have. Yeah, they don't have
No.
anything like that. That would be
Thank
just broken.
Lethal on core troopers. Holy crap!
Well, just with the wound for immobilize, like a guaranteed immobilize kind of thing. That would be insane.
Insane.
That's like
Yeah.
Palpatine levels, like Pierce with immobilize.
They're Palpatine, but they just cost like 70 something points.
Good job, AMG. You're doing great.
You did great. You broke the game.
All right, so let's jump on to the Capo upgrade card, not the unit card, but the leader. Matt, do you have that handy? Do you want to read that for us?
Yeah, for sure. So the next personnel upgrade for them is the Pike Syndicate Capo. It says add 1 Pike Syndicate Capo mini. Your courage is increased by 1. You gain independent surge 1. So at the start of the activation phase, if you do not have an order token, gain 1 surge token, and this becomes your leader mini. And all for 16 points. So if you're really worried about your suppression, add this dude. You get an extra mini, and you gain an additional surge, which I think is kind of cool because essentially that's a reliable 1, as long as you don't have a face-up order token.
Yep.
And they did clarify on stream that you get both this and the dodge. So that means you're getting 1 surge that you're going to use on offense, and then and the dodge. I don't know if that's better than the aim, but I do like the fact that you can get Courage 2 minis, which, let's be real, like, we've seen what Courage 2 core troopers do and just how strong
I have
they
never
are.
heard of a Courage 2 unit. What are you talking about? In core? Never heard of it.
Clone who?
Never heard of it.
Age what?
I want to get this off my chest because this is something I've been thinking about, but independent. I just think that screams clone Commandos. Like I think that's definitely like they'll have something like Surge 2 instead. They'll make it better. But like this is the independent keyword, I feel like is something that I don't want to say all, but most Spec Ops units should be having, which is like within other factions. For sure, it's like with their identity so far with the for this scum and villainy boys. But for Spec Ops in general, like characters or units that are supposed to be out there kind of maybe doing something else on their own, like it feels like independent should be a keyword. And the reason I say Clone Commandos is because like they're often that role, right? In lore, they're, they go in under, enemy or behind enemy lines, and they come out and, they do their thing.
Yeah.
Droid Commandos, I think would be benefited from this as well.
I agree, and I loved, because like this is an area of design that I'm surprised they hadn't crossed into earlier, or maybe they had thought about it, but there was just too much going on. I mean, we're looking at like the droids right now and what they're about to do at the Kashyyyk wave, and there's so many benefits for just not. Well, I guess for droids it's less of a benefit and more of a like a cost mitigation with like the protocols. Independent is something that I think if they were to take that and add it to a couple other factions, it would really help. Like I think about
Agreed.
Rebels and how they really want their orders on, their leaders. That's really where they want them. They want their leaders. They want them on the truck, the people who are just super important. And in the Empire too, where they're just very greedy with orders. I think introducing something like this, maybe that's how you do stormtroopers. You errata them so they have independent aim or something like that.
Yeah.
So that way, when you do reach for your bag, and just in factions where you have to reach for your bag, there's not such a bad downside to it.
All right.
I think that would be huge for mitigating. Now, I don't think everybody needs it, but I think it's something that could get introduced to, like, say, Death Troopers or whatever, just to say, hey, man, don't worry, like, because let's be real, some units need help. This might
for
be
sure.
something to introduce for the future.
What do you think would be the weakest independent, like do you think Surge is on the weaker end, or is there something weaker you can think of?
Oh, that's a good question. That's interesting because I hope they never do like independent standby. You know what I mean?
I was
'Cause
actually
then-
getting that. Dang, you're taking the win on my sales. I was gonna be like, all right, now how do you feel about the strongest option?
Bro, that's totally the weakest option. Like, well, maybe it's not actually. Maybe it's really
No,
strong. You know?
no, yeah,
Move everybody up, and then start of the turn, your entire army just gets standbys. So
like
your
yeah, you
clone-
take a couple unit, like let's say clone commandos, because I'm a fanboy and I fanboy here. Let's say clone commandos, independent, standby 1, and then they have like, I don't know, what's the word I'm looking for? The one that Padme has. I'm drawing a blank all of a sudden. Exemplar.
Yeah, exemplar.
Yeah. What if they have exemplar, right? So clone commandos, there's 2 units of them. Well, they both get it. Who are you shooting? So one's gonna retaliate. Broken, I know, but stonks, clonks.
I have played and lost to clone standby tokens way too much. I think I'm good. What I would like, I mean, since we're on the clone commandos thing, I think it's okay if they get that. If they come with infiltrate, you know what I mean?
Oh
Where it's
yeah.
like-
Oh yeah.
so, because by that point they'll be so far away from the army that like it's a good option to say no, infiltrate behind enemy lines. Don't get your command or your order
Yeah.
token. And then when the opponent does something, the first thing they have to do is either shoot you or just ignore you because you're gonna act no matter what. And I think that's an interesting.
Or maybe they give different personnel upgrades, different for example, like independent. So
I think yeah,
yeah, because I think like let's say you take a generic clone commando unit and then you give. Holy crap! I feel like we've talked about this exact word before, but without knowing the word. I swear we've had this discussion before on an episode way
it's
in the
it's
past.
so funny because I feel like discussing this whole wave. Like I'll have to go back and listen to some of our previous episodes, but I feel like we kind of came up with most
Yeah.
of this wave. You know what I mean?
All right, AMG.
Like, you know, a lot of
Our
people-
salary demanded is 6 figures minimum. 50 weeks
On those in
PTO.
Seattle.
Yeah. But anyways, what I was saying is like, what if like Gregor, well, you know what I'm saying? Like different clone commandos in the lore, would come with different words. Like boss, who would be independent surge, or Sev, or that would come with independent aim, But then if you want the whole shebang, you could take like Delta Squad, and it'd be like the Clan Ren, where you take multiple, and then it's like a super powerful clone commando unit.
Oh yeah, like the keyword stack. Like okay, beginning of the round, they don't have an order token. They get like a dodge and aim and a standby.
I see so many people rolling their eyes. Like, oh my gosh, Kyle, stop designing broken crap.
Bro, especially because like clones right now are definitely like a gatekeeping army. Like
oh yeah,
they're so good, and if you're just not prepared for them, it's gonna be so hard to fight them.
it's
But
true.
same with rebels. I feel like there's a couple armies out there that are or lists that are so hard to beat.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah,
So
I'm-
let's. Oh, did you have one more thought?
Oh, you're good. You're good.
I was just gonna say let's move on finally to the Pike Syndicate Capo.
Yeah.
Why don't you walk us through his card, Matt?
Yeah, let's do that. So once again, points redacted. The FBI got to him first. And so he is a commander unit that has a command slot and a gear slot, 4 health, 2 courage, white saves, surge defense. So just like the other Syndicate guys. Speed 2. His unarmed is a black die. His Capo's P13 long blaster is 3 black dice. And he has this little symbol up here, which I believe is the mercenary symbol. Or no, that's not. They said
That's
symbol
that's
means
the
something.
pike symbol. Like that's specifically 2 pikes. I don't know if that's supposed to be a pike, but right, that's what they said.
Something. Yeah.
It's like their
Yeah,
it's
it
their
is,
it's their sub faction symbol.
Yeah, it is, and that's important because what it means is that when the leader here would gain an aim, dodge, or search token, another friendly Pike unit at range 1 and in line of sight may gain that token instead. And if they do, they gain a suppression, which is pretty cool because the other guys only have one uh one courage value
Mhm.
anyway, so it's gonna be easy to suppress him. But if you get this boy here, let's say he gets an aim. Well, let's say he takes like binoculars or something to get
Mhm.
another aim. Then he can, pass out an aim and then aim himself and give them a suppression. Like this is kind of like the compel
Yeah.
in my mind, except with friendly units and stuff, and you can just give it to people wherever you need. And I think that's extremely cool,
This
considering
is more
that
like
they already
instead of compel, this is more like come threaten. Like,
yeah, yeah, it's more comfort. Yeah.
yeah.
Uh, I think this is a really cool thing, and I really like it. He also has Danger Sense 2 and Independent Dodge 1. So,
So we've already seen Independent Surge, so now we can see Independent Dodge. But that would
yeah,
be like a real big hassle to have your commander. Like, let's say you were running this as your commander for the Shadow Collective. Like, independent, like, why would you, like, don't you normally want to give your commander. I guess he's not rebels. I'm thinking like a rebel or a clone player, where it's like, I want to just give my heroes their tokens or their orders so I know what's in the bag. But I guess like with this guy, he's not those factions, so I have to think differently.
yeah. Well, I think about like droids, how easy it'll be to like run Maul or something, or even
Yeah.
attack droid, and get all of your droids their orders, and maybe even like your support units or your tank. And the only thing in your bag are these guys. Like,
Hmm.
how great is that? What's cool here also is like you have that whole symbol where you can pass those tokens like at range one, and you have independent dodge one, so you can already, I guess, pass out that other dodge if you need. So you could potentially be having a unit start with two dodges just at the very beginning of the activation
Oh,
phase,
that's true.
which I
Yeah.
think is pretty cool because then like you can pull it out of the bag, roll off the suppression. Like let's just put it this way: I'm really happy this unit cannot take training upgrades. Like that would be wild.
Yeah, like yeah, imagine like okay, so I'm gonna aim and I'm gonna move with an offensive push and not shoot,
Yeah.
and just like give this other guy, that'd be insane. Although I could
Would
see someone more powerful and more point cost to do something like that for sure.
right? Well, I mean, I think about how he also gives out suppression, so he's just triggering danger sense for his buddies. Like,
Yep,
dude, like it's super good. Like, there's a lot of stuff going on here.
yeah, that's very true. No, I think this is overall like a really solid small upgrade. I don't think personally, I don't see him over. Uh, I'm gonna guess like 60 points at the most. Like I don't know. What are your thoughts? Like not in other
Yeah.
factions, but in his own faction.
Yeah, I agree. Like, you gotta think of the generics for all the other factions. They're passing out tokens and stuff for
Mhm.
free. This is a token giver, but kind of at like a, I don't know, kind of like with a penalty. Even
Yeah.
though like the penalty works with the units,
Hmm.
I would imagine this is probably like a 45, 50 point uh,
Yeah,
giver.
I would agree with that. Yep. And then I would also say like I don't think I think we kind of talked about it earlier, but with these pikes, I don't think the points are going to be too different than when they're in their own faction compared to when they're going to be in separatists. I think because those two factions worked in really well together, I think if anything, it's like a 1 to 2 point difference. If I'm being perfectly honest with my predictions here.
Agreed. Yeah, I completely agree with that. And as much, I don't know, I'm having some struggles with this. Like a part of me really wants to just take attack droid,
Uh huh.
but I feel like that's not the way to do it. I think you're probably running these guys with the super tack, so the super tack can still issue orders where he needs to like your armory units, your things like that. And then these are kind of supposed to be your BV core units. You know what I mean? Like
Hmm.
your, you know what I
I
mean? Like your
yeah. I guess like the question I want to ask off of that then, with what you're saying, is like, do you add the capo to another faction at all though? Like, is that a good take? Because like everything is dictated for him with not getting an order, or like he gives stuff to friendly pike units. So like I guess my thoughts is like, okay, do you take him only if you need to, or for your for your list if you plan on taking like the Pike foot soldiers, or do you ever take him by himself? I'll leave that to you. What do you think?
Yeah, like I think he's probably most likely an auto include, just because suppression is so bad for these guys. Like you think about how bad suppression can be for core troopers or other factions. Like with rebels, it does suck, but like with rebels, I'd rather be shooting other things right now. I have
Right.
other things on my plate, and with the Empire, you're now getting compelled to be a big thing. And if you're running Vader, it doesn't even matter. Droids don't care. Clones kind of don't care anymore. Um,
Yeah.
but with this, like, I think you got to take him with this guy because it would feel so bad to pay, 50, 55 points. It's got to be like 48, 50 points to pay that much. And then
Yeah.
suddenly your dudes just are panicked off the table turn one because Cassian infiltrated or because like an AA5 dropped off Han Solo or somebody. And he just like, you know what I mean? Or clones got their suppressive shot, like it's something like that. Like it would
Yeah.
feel really bad to like turn two, have your guys start panicking off the table.
I will say this: I don't put it past it for that to happen though, because like, and maybe this is a little bit of a hot take, but if we look at the units that have come out for, I mean, really the only new factions we have to look at are the Separatists and the Republic. But I guess we could even look at like the beginning of the game. It seems notoriously that the first units that you get for a new faction are the ideas present are killer. And that's why like I remember when we were first getting into this game, all the buzz online was like, yeah, they're not good now, but just wait a year. Like the faction ideas were solid and in place. And I think we're running into that here again with like, oh yeah, so these things are really cool, but it sounds like the things that are going to come later that are going to implement these keywords and unique identity themes later, they're going to be so much better, and that's where we're going to really see some breath given to these guys. But maybe that's a hot take.
Agreed. I think we're gonna see a lot coming from this. I'm really excited to see kind of where the like the Faline, the Black Sun guys
Oh
come in.
yeah,
'Cause I
that'll be
feel
cool.
like yeah, because I mean, you got to think we're gonna eventually get like Jabba and the Huts and stuff come
Mhm.
around, the Weequay pirates. Like, if I had to think about it, I would think that there's probably one faction per Merc unit that they can ally with. Like, I would imagine the Pikes ally with the droids. Okay, cool, done. I could see like Weequay pirates going with the rebels because Hondo and all that stuff.
Mhm.
I could see the Fallen and the Black Sun going with like the Empire and the Republic. Like, sorry guys, yeah, I don't know who you would get, but
Yeah.
maybe somebody.
I don't
Yeah,
think I don't think the Republic gets much. I don't.
same,
I
same.
think if they get anything, it comes by way of their own, the 501st or,
I mean,
um,
they'll probably get Gungans and stuff.
yeah,
Like if they're doing
exactly.
Ewoks, like they'll get it, but it'll probably be other things. Or maybe if
Yeah,
we finally get that Wookiee sub faction, and it's I
right.
mean, because we kind of are.
Right. I feel like the Wookiee sub faction being a thing as it is right now is what led to this being made. It's like, okay, we may as well just go all in on it, because I definitely, I don't know, like I say definitely, and then I don't know, because it is kind of tough, but I almost wonder like if we're gonna see that duality. Like let's say with the 501st, right? They come as their own box. Well, we've seen the 501st be delegated to help other sources, right? Like like with the Battle of Mandalore. Let's say there's a Mandalorian faction, sub faction that comes out later. Okay, well maybe you have the potential to Mandalorian and and Shadow Collect, or like, you know what I'm saying though? Like 501st meets Mandalorian, like you have that kind of
Oh, yeah.
dynamic. I don't know.
See, I'm totally for that. I think, especially because they said Michael Plummer just loves Mandos, dude.
Right?
I wouldn't be surprised if there's a day in the future, like it's probably not for another year or two,
Yeah.
where you show up to a tournament and you end up playing. Let's say you play 4 matches that day, trying to make the cut, and you bring rebels and you have Mandos, and then you go up against droids and they have Mandos on their side of the team, like Death Watch, and then you go up against Empire, and Empire has super commandos. And then, you know what I mean? Like by the end of the day, you've played against 4 different factions, and each faction has Mandos. Like I wouldn't be surprised if that's a thing eventually.
Oh yeah, and the players and fans would absolutely love it too. Like,
It would be so cool, man. Like
Yeah.
it'd be amazing.
it's amazing that this faction within Star Wars that has gotten quite literally low representation. Like everyone loves them, but only now with the Mandalorian, with the Book of Boba Fett, with Clone Wars, like are we actually like seeing them as a legit like all encompassing faction within Star Wars. Everything else before was just kind of like, oh yeah, Mandalorians were cool. They had a war with the Jedi. Here's Boba Fett. Like it just wasn't really like well built on, and so it's great that we get to live during the days that Mandalorians get the respect they deserve.
Right? Like, dude, I can't wait to be like playing this game down the road, and there's just so many factions
Yeah.
and stuff running around. It'll be really cool.
Yeah, I wish I had pictures for him, but yeah, like the Black Sun is also represented in this, but the Mandalorians are here, and they'll be cool. I can't wait for us to get to talk about their cards. But as for right now, we're just gonna fanboy over them. And before we move on to something I do, because you already seen him a bunch of time on screen, but yes, we talked about Maul. We don't have a card for the new Maul, but we get to see his new model, and I just want to acknowledge that before we move on to some other things that we get to talk about, which are Boba Fett, the Mandalorian himself. So, well, I guess not the Mandalorian. I guess that would start a civil war, would it not?
Yeah. Oh, jeez. Let's not get the fandom inflamed, okay?
Yeah, right.
It'll need to get canceled like the Rise of Skywalker.
It sounds like a really bad pickup line, like, "Hey, baby, you want to get your fandom inflamed?"
Bro, well, you're starting up dating again. You know, let's try out a syndrome.
Post-COVID dating scene is weird, let me tell you.
Bro, I know.
Anyways, so yeah, we got confirmation that Mandalorian, the show Mandalorian, is getting representation within Legion, and one of the ways we're going to get that is from Boba Fett. It's really interesting that we're getting Old Man Boba before we're getting Din Djarin, but I feel like this is well deserved for Boba Fett. I feel like if there's an inanimate object that deserves it, Boba Fett is it. I feel like everybody's been crying for him to get a lot more love because the game has just evolved and he has stayed way far behind. So a new unit that's going to give him new resources that can be equipped to either the new Boba Fett or the young Boba Fett, I think that'll be really good for the game and for this character specifically.
Yeah, agreed. Completely agree. It's funny too because I've already seen this kind of sculpt on like
Yeah.
Etsy. Like if you look on the
Oh, yep.
Discords, on the Facebook pages, you've seen this type of model. People have made it, so
Yep.
now we're just getting it for real.
Yep. And then, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was just thinking, like with the Mando faction, I wonder if we'll get Rebel Shock Troopers because that's what Cara Dune was. So,
Yeah.
You
I don't-
know.
Are we allowed to talk? No.
Rip. Okay, no, that's gonna get you fandom inflamed.
Yeah, that's very true. As far as other Mandalorian representation, we get the swoop bikes. I mean, that's not really just Mandalorian representation, but
No, that's like works. I think.
yeah, just like overall some cool thing. I mean, there are swoop bikes in the Mandalorian, are there not? Doesn't he ride one?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Like I thought the whole reason they brought these in was because there's a Mandalorian wave, but I like the designs here. I like this little person here. The Twi'lek is cool, but I like this. I don't know. Looks like he's wearing a hockey mask to me, but yeah, I think
Michael Myers.
Oh, you know what? I'm actually looking at it a little closer. The staff also looks like Rey's staff.
Wait, from the from the swoop bikes.
Rey from the Skywalker. Yeah, that one.
Oh.
the rise of the Skywalker. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it kind of looks like her staff, which is interesting. Of course, like it would be more symmetrical for her staff, but There's some similarities here. You know, it's a long stick with the strap, and then there's like these little flarings on the ends.
Yeah, it's like a little axe. It's cool.
Really, it's just a stick, and that's all we have. But yeah, that brings us to a conclusion for what we have to talk about today. Overall, we're pretty excited, but I won't speak for myself. Matt, why don't you kind of give your concluding thoughts here?
Man, I'm so excited for this. I still have some questions about how rules will get changed in the future and points balancing.
Mm-hmm.
But if anything, the fun factor and the excitement factor for me right now are like through the roof.
Oh,
Like I
agreed.
am very excited for the game. The
Agreed.
only thing I want them to do is fix their fix their shipping because I realized I almost have more things on pre-order for my clone army than I actually have. So get that stuff out to me. But I am ecstatic for this
Yeah.
release, and I think it's gonna be a big shot in the arm for diversity of gameplay and for uniqueness of armies. I think it's gonna be amazing.
I wholeheartedly agree. It's it's one of those things where we could say, yeah, it's like the whole like everybody's struggling with shipping right now. There's a whole bunch of shipping problems, but it's like it's only amplified by Asmodee's habits, honestly. So we're just kind of used to it at this point, even though it's a little bit more extreme. So, but we got some cool things to talk about, and that's one of the things I really got to give respect to AMG and Will Schick for specifically, because he was the one that kind of put his head underneath the guillotine for this one, as I think it was the wording he said. But I just respect that a whole lot, where like these people weren't expecting, like 1 year ago they weren't expecting to take on 3 new studios or 3 new games within their studio, I should say. And now they, for better for worse, or through all the ups and downs, they're trying their hardest to be transparent with us, and that goes a long way for me as a player. So I super appreciate that. And I think this whole mini extravaganza, that was my highlight. Like the units are cool, but my highlight was just like, okay, they're decent peeps over there.
Agreed. I'm still a little worried about how like this will all turn out. Just from other games I've played, it could be overpowered, cause some problems. But
Yeah, there's always
I
that
guess we'll
option
see
or
where
that
that ends
worry.
up though.
No, I would agree with that. But all right, any words of wisdom for us, Matthew, before we conclude?
Words of wisdom.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez. Hit the gym during COVID times. Like, I did not do that, and boy, am I regretting it. So.
All right. You heard it here first, folks. Stop playing Legion. Hit the gym. Goodbye.